My name is Marcy Jameson. I am the Flight Chief and Exercise Physiologist here at the Health and Wellness Center, and I'm here to talk to you about fitness as in relation to being hyperlipidemic or hypertension. So we're going to cover a couple things here. And I don't always talk off my slides, but I do believe you have copies of the slides in your handout, so feel free to take notes. But I like to tell stories more than I do death by PowerPoint. All right, so we've got many benefits of exercise, and a lot of times we know what to do when it comes to your doctor sitting down and saying, all right, you are hyperlipidemic or you have high blood pressure. It comes to a lifestyle change. It becomes, okay, you've got to start exercising and you've got to eat right. Well, we know that. We see it at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're up and we can't sleep on an infomercial. We know that exercise is good for us. We know that eating right is good for us. But why don't we do it? Anybody know?
It's not easy and accessible.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not always accessible. Life happens. So you know all of these benefits, right? You know that it helps you decrease the blood pressure. You know that it helps decrease the low density lipoproteins of the hyperlipidemias. So we want to make sure that you're understanding, okay, you all know what you should exercise, but we want to figure out what components do you need to amp up a little bit. That's the big thing. A lot of you probably are exercising, especially if you're in duty uniform. I hope you're exercising at least 4 to 5 days a week. If you're not in duty uniform, I still hope you're exercising 4 to 5 days a week. But these are our basic components of a program. When I look at building somebody's exercise program for them, I look at what can they do? What do you do in your day-to-day life? Do you work 12-hour shifts? Do you work rotating shifts? Are you running taxi cab for the other children? Are you doing school at the same time or working a second or third job? That all has to play into effect when we look at the balance of all of these components for a healthy lifestyle. For cardiovascular fitness, we ask how much should we do? Well, for my active duty folks in the room, you recommend for your fitness program at least 4 to 5 days a week. But for most people, active duty or not, I want at least 5 days a week doing something. Now, if you haven't, you've got that really busy schedule and you don't have time to get in 5 days a week, that's really overwhelming to think about. Listen, I'm working 2 jobs, I'm going to school, I'm doing everything that I just listed a little bit ago. How am I going to fit this in my busy life? We want to look at what we can do for goals and make them simple. Just like what Jessica talked about the nutrition piece, 1 goal at a time, 1 goal for nutrition, 1 goal for fitness. When we look at goals for cardiovascular health, which is going to make the biggest change in your blood panels right now, is to look at increasing your work capacity. How do we do that? Well, we do a little bit more. Maybe we get some frequency up there. Maybe we go from a level 10 on a cross trainer to a level 11 on a cross trainer. Maybe we go for walks every night after dinner. Maybe I get up about 10 minutes earlier and I do a couple minutes of push-ups and crunches and a couple wall squats. There's things that you can do to increase that work capacity as well as increasing the endurance. Your body likes habit. We are creatures of habit. Sometimes those things are accessible. Like you said, maybe they're not so accessible, that's why we don't change, but sometimes they're right there in front of us. Like how many of you have pieces of gym equipment at your house? It's right there in front of you. Do you use it as regularly as you should? Okay, so it's accessible. So what can we do? We got to look at increasing that endurance. So most of us have some type of cardio piece of equipment at home. If it's nice out, get outside, get some fresh air, people watch, go to the mall if it's too hot. Get somewhere, do stuff, put more steps in your day, but build that endurance. We're creatures of habit. We buy those things, we put it in our house, we put it in our basement, we put it in our office. It looks great, we have all wonderful intentions, and then we don't change the behavior. So we want to make sure that you are adapting small goals to increase this endurance, to break outside the mold of we always drive the same way to work, the creatures of habits that we are. Okay, so try different things, but build on that endurance because that's what's going to make the biggest difference for you right now is breaking outside that mold. We want to also increase that calorie expenditure, and how you're going to do that is by moving a little bit more often. When I meet with folks one-on-one or in classroom settings, I oftentimes talk about the FIT principle. There's also something I like to add is I like to add a P ahead of the F here, and P is for progression. Because we're creatures of habit, we may come to the gym 4 days a week. We may go to the same cross trainer because we like it. Some people have names for their equipment. I don't know. So they get out there on their favorite cross trainer, they put it on manual program, they do a level 10, they're 30 minutes, they burn 500 calories, and they're out of the gym. Got my 500 calories done, and I'm out. Well, if you do that same level 10, same manual program, same cross trainer, same number of days a week, you're not going to see any progression. You may see some change initially in the first couple of weeks of exercise, but after about 30 days, you really need to bump up a level or try a different program. So think about what you've done for exercise in the past or what you're doing currently. Are you seeing any progression? Did you try to progress? The reverse side of this, or the opposite side of this, is that you progress too hard, too fast, that no pain, no gain attitude, and that gets us in aches and pains, and then we don't ever come back to exercise. So you've got to find that happy medium of what's going to make you click and stay with some form of exercise. So the frequency we've talked about, the intensity definitely has some different factors in there as far as time, and then type of exercise is also important. We'll talk about some different options for you. 1 to 2 sessions per day for exercise. Now, per day, 1 to 2 sessions per day. For those of you that are really busy and can't take half an hour, 60 minutes, or more to do cardiovascular exercise, you're thinking, 1 to 2 sessions each day? Are you crazy? Not at all. That's where you break it up. My folks that work in StratCom, okay, most of them are just, everybody's really busy, but those folks especially, sometimes they don't see the light of day in a 12-hour period. So what I tell them to do is, you've got great hallways and you've got great stairwells. Move them. Get going. And so you get up, and if everybody else in your office, maybe you have some tobacco users and they're taking their 15-minute tobacco break, how about you take a 15-minute wellness and health break? So you stand up, you go out and you walk the halls or the stairs, or you stand at your cubicle and you do some squats. You know what? You're going to look pretty darn funny doing this at your computer, checking your email, talking on the phone, but at least you're doing something to become healthy outside of the norm, outside of what you would normally do. So that's how you break those sessions up. In about 5 to 7 days a week. 7 should be a nice, slow, easy day. 6 days is really the max on most people's exercise programs. When we look at intensity, if you calculate your target heart rate range and you're out here on any of our pieces of equipment, or you own a piece of equipment that monitors your heart rate, you just put your hands on the handlebars typically and it'll tell you your heart rate. These are great percentages as far as calories you're burning, what types of calories. But there's also other ways. One of the best ways to gauge your exercise and the intensity, to make sure that you're burning the stored fat, because that's what you want to burn, right? You want to burn stored fat to decrease the blood pressure as well as the cholesterol levels. One of the best ways is to do a talk test. If you can talk like I'm talking right now while exercising cardiovascularly, guess what? You're not going hard enough. If you can sing the song on your iPod while you are exercising, you're not going hard enough. So those are pretty common things. Most people exercise with a radio or iPod on. Yeah, they like those tunes, they jam out. If you catch yourself singing and you're running, or you're singing and you're on a cross trainer, you need to probably lift up that level a little bit more. That's that breaking outside of the box I was talking about. Every 30 days, you need to increase that level of resistance so that you don't fall into that plateau. All right, so heart rate range, that's great. Put your hands on the handlebars and get that. But the best thing I found is a talk test. If you can get out, yes, I'm okay, or I need help, those short fragmented sentences, that's your best bet. That equals about 75% of your target heart rate zone, which is usually right in that stored fat area where you're burning. Okay, so think of that talk test. Time does depend on the intensity. 40 to 60 minutes each session is what I typically like to see. You'll really start to see the changes in your body composition if you amp it up to about 60 minutes each time. And it's all about prioritizing. I'll tell you, when I am right now, took the winter off of race training. I run half marathons. So last year I ran a couple, and then winter was kind of long in Nebraska, and then I'm getting back into it. So, you know, over the winter it was nice to have a little bit more free time. You don't have to an hour a day for exercise just specifically for running. And now it's just prioritizing. Yep, got to make that hour. Everybody else can kind of wait, taking time for me. But what I also find in that time frame, that hour, is that it's less stressful. Nobody's bothering me typically. I can zone out. I can kind of think about work stuff too if I need to and get it all figured out. But I feel better because I'm less stressed. I've taken time for myself, and that's what we all need to do. And that's kind of why I like to use exercise as my excuse. It's also a sanity break, because you can kind of figure that all out. But time here, 40 to 60 minutes to see those changes occur, or you can break them up. Now, as far as those goals, they can be reached in 2 to 3 months for fitness. This is where you're going to see that muscle mass change, the fat mass change, and in 9 to 12 months, that's where you're going to see your lipids change. Okay, so the more often you do it, the longer you go for, then you'll see those results quicker or slower, depending on how you do that. Now, I have people that do high intensity training. They'll do like a Monday, they'll do a long, slow run or a walk. Tuesday, they come in and they do the cross trainer, and they do a hill program where they go up high, they bring it back down, and they go up and down. That up and down is pretty good. It's a good idea to intermix instead of that long, slow 5 days a week. The up and down will keep you interested, number one, and keep you coming back. The two, it causes fatigue a little bit more, but it burns a little bit more calories. It keeps that muscle being in a confused state. It keeps your body confused, so you're gonna burn more calories at rest. So you wanna try a lot of different things, and when you do that high, low, oftentimes your time doesn't have to be up to 40, 60. It can be down to about 30. So you can really play with what your schedule looks like and how to piecemeal exercise into the program. Different types of exercise. You want to make sure it's large muscle groups and you're moving regularly and often. My bad examples here are golf and bowling. Typically bowling, you're taking in more calories while you're there than expending just by the food choices that are there. Typically. I haven't been to a bowling alley where they have health food just yet. I bowl regularly, so that I try to look for that. They don't have it. Golf. Unless you are carrying your clubs and walking the 18 holes, that's a little bit healthier choice than riding. But most folks aren't going to get your target heart rate zone. You're not going to get into that talk test. You're not winded while golfing, are you? So those are considered recreational activities. Again, we want activities in which you are large muscle groups moving continuously and you get that talk test kind of feeling. This is an example of how you would calculate your target heart rate zone if you would like to do that. You have this in your handouts, so please feel free to work those numbers and those percentages. If you have been exercising at least 4 to 5 days a week regularly, you can change these percentages. I would change them to 60 and 85. If you are just beginning an exercise program, leave them as is. All right, when you go out to do your exercise program, we've kind of talked about the different components and how we want you to do that fit principle. I want you to make sure that you're warmed up properly. Don't come to a facility or don't go to a gym or don't go outside to exercise without being properly warmed up. When I say that, most people think of stretching. They stretch cold. What you have to do is think of your body as a rubber band. If your body is a rubber band and it's cold, you're going to pull on it, it snaps, correct? Well, not that our body's going to snap, but our muscles are really tight. We want them to be pliable and warmed up before we go into a cardiovascular exercise or a strength training exercise. So what you want to do is make sure that you're doing a warm up for about, I would say, 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes is pretty long. 5 to 7 minutes works out pretty well for most folks. Get into the facility, get into your gym, go outside, whatever you're going to choose to do, and get a good warm up in. Do the same cardiovascular activity that you're going to choose to do that day. So if you're on a bike, go ahead and get on that bike and spin for a little while, about 5 to 7 minutes. Then hop off and do some stretching while you're warmed up. Then you can get back into it. The biggest bang for your buck for injury prevention and delayed onset muscle soreness, pushing that off a little bit more, is to stretch at the end of your workouts for longer amounts of time. So not the quick 10 seconds that we oftentimes do when we think about exercising or stretching. You want to do about 30 seconds per stretch at the end of your workout and repeat each stretch twice to reduce that muscle soreness. So you're warmed up, you're going to go do your target heart rate zone or your talk test for 20 to 60 minutes. And that cool down is what I was talking about. Most pieces of machinery, if you have in the gym here or at home, have that 5 to 10 minute cool down already built into the program. But if you're out walking around the blocks or out at the creek or wherever you're at, just slow your level down, slow your speed down, get to a flat pace. Be sure that you can talk normally before you get in the car to drive home. Stretch at the end of this, okay, and increase the fluids. Now I hit really hard, most of my talk is about cardiovascular exercise because that is going to be the biggest impactor to your disease process right now. This is what's going to help the most. But again, I talked about mixing things up, and you always want to do some form of strength training. You got to use it or lose it. Muscle and fat are two different things. A lot of people think you can, it changes into one changes into the other. Two completely different things, and you saw from the nutrition briefing what that fat looks like. So you want to decrease that, and how you're going to decrease that is by cardiovascular exercise combined with strength training. You want to increase that lean muscle mass. Not everybody's goal is to look, big and bulky, but to just have general tone. And to do that, you can do a couple different programs. You can do about 8 to 10 different major muscle groups about 8 to 10 different exercises, and it doesn't have to take 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes in the gym. That's it. Depending on your goals. If your goal is to bulk up or you're training for a specific sport, we can get you a different program for that. But majority of folks want to get healthy. And overall health can happen within 1 to 2 sets of 12 repetitions of 8 to 10 different machines. So if you're going to do 1 set of 12 of a bicep curl, I want you to do a full range of motion, nice and slow, nice and easy. Full range of motion meaning you got to think about how you live your life outside of these gates. Do you have little ones at home? Do you have grandkids? Do you do yard work? Are you bending and squatting a lot? If you do a lot of yard work and the next day you wake up your hamstrings are sore and tight, that's because we need to do some more physical training. So we want to make sure we're training our body during exercise the same way in which you want to train your body to respond on the weekends or after work. So 1 set of 12 a couple times a week will work for good general tone. Nice and slow, and the 12 should be a fatigue point. So if you can do a 13th repetition, just add 5 more pounds. You want to make sure, again, you're going to be warmed up. You don't want to go directly right into strength training. You want to make sure you do that aerobic first, ideally, or some type of good warm-up, and progress through for those injuries. I've mentioned the speed and control of weight training. A lot of times, if you think back to when you were in high school or junior high, even elementary school, the way we used to do weight training and calisthenics, we're bouncing all over the place. We're locking out our joints. We're going kind of out of control for speed. It's not quick. The slower you go, the more muscle fibers you break down. So that actually gives you a little bit better benefit to weight training. Make sure you're breathing, especially if you have high blood pressure, if you've got any type of cardiovascular disease going on. You don't want to build that pressure in the heart muscle and lifting heavy weights. So nice and easy. Remember, we're all not 18 anymore. Oh, how the time goes by. The stretching, we talked a little bit about that. My biggest thing is the time. It really is. I know we're short on time, but this is something you don't want to skimp on for injury prevention. If you don't have time here in the gym, get in the car, get home. If you are watching 5 minutes of TV, slide down onto the ground and do stretching while you're doing that. Or even while you're in bed, do the stretches. It helps. Exercise and safety, just want to make sure that you note that it is very hot in our facility. It's not an air-conditioned facility. Nebraska winter and summer can be quite drastic on temperatures. So we want to make sure that you are wearing proper clothing. And I do have no rubber suits up here because I still see people wearing them. I swear they stopped selling them in the 1970s, but they still have them. Or people will wear multiple layers. And you really want to think about a lifestyle change, not a quick fix. So make sure you're trying to get breathable clothing as much as possible. Cotton can be your world's worst nightmare coming in exercising when it's hot out. Cotton's not a breathable fabric whatsoever. When it gets wet, it gets hot and heavy, and it makes your heart rate. When you start working, you keep working harder, you get hotter, heart rate goes higher. So you're not getting an efficient exercise session. So try to get those wicking materials. Shoes, make sure that they fit properly. This is a huge thing for my active duty folks. I saw a big spike in this in 2004 when we started the fitness program. We said, okay, we're going to start running, and then nobody provided education on what the heck is a proper running form and proper shoes. Your shoes need to be changed out about every 6 months if you're exercising 5 days a week. Just when they start to feel good and broken in, they're broken down. So yes, it's an investment piece, but it's an investment in your health. You want to be 80 and on your 2 feet, you want to take care of them by good shoes. Okay, so think about long term. It's worth the money to get shoes that fit you. So go to some specialists. You can come here, we can look at your gait. We'll get you taken care of, but every about 500 miles or about 6 months, you need to get new shoes. Make sure you're staying hydrated. I mentioned the weather changes. It is very hot and humid. You need to make sure you're hydrating throughout the day. If you don't exercise until 3 or 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you need to hydrate during the day before you even get here. And then you'll be able to make it through your exercise session. But you need to have a couple ounces of water about every 10 to 20 minutes that you're exercising. And at the end, really gulp down a big bottle of water as you're stretching. That water, that hydration level, will help push out that lactic acid in your body that causes the muscle soreness. So that's why we want to stretch and drink water, especially at the end of your workout. A lot of us, I mentioned the no pain, no gain attitude. We'll get this, overtraining. We push a little bit too hard and we have to do this, rice, rest, ice, compression, elevation. The best ice pack I found are frozen vegetables. Get a bag of frozen vegetables, frozen peas, whatever they are, put them on that injured joint, let it defrost about 20 minutes, and then you can nuke the food in the microwave. There's your healthy choice for dinner, and you've treated yourself properly because you exercise and you did the prevention piece. So you really look at different icing, but do not go to bed with an ice pack on your body, or do not go to bed with a heat pack on your body. Okay? The ice will definitely freeze the tissue, and that delays your rehab time back a couple of weeks. Some of our other programs that we offer here at the Health and Wellness Center, we offer tobacco cessation. Actually, some of our folks in this class actually can be, and most times are, tobacco cessation or tobacco product users. We've got 3 different options for you. This is something that's brand new. We've got a health educator on board now. We've got online, so you can be in your pajamas at 3 in the morning watching that infomercial on the TV with your laptop on your lap doing tobacco cessation. We have over the phone, we have call line, as well as classroom. So we have 3 different options for you to meet your deployment needs, your travel needs, your lifestyle needs. And the medications are free. So that's always a good option for you. But we do offer bod pod assessments. They're in the back of our office here. That is a great baseline tool for you to get. You can come in, you don't eat or exercise 2 hours prior to. You come out with your percentage of body fat and how many pounds that is, percentage of lean muscle mass in pounds, your basal metabolic rate, so how many calories you're burning at rest, and then we also calculate how many days you're exercising, and we put that in there. And that gives you a total thermogenic effect. So that gives you the number of basically calories you're burning in and out every day. And then you can meet with myself or with Jessica, the dietitian, and we can really meet your needs as far as what your health goals are. So that's a great baseline to do. So if you're thinking of making lifestyle changes, one goal at a time, that would be your first goal. Get a bod pod done. To sign up, or any of our classes or programs, you just go to the front desk or call us. But get that bod pod done, get into a couple of our other different classes, come see us one-on-one, and we can develop programs for your needs. We do have a couple exercise classes. I teach a running class on Friday mornings at 6:30. We actually hit the ground at 6:30 in the morning, so it's nice and cool. We don't get the hot, humid area, the temperatures, so we get out and we run outside for the most part. And we do different gait analysis during that time frame and really help people meet their needs for running. We do have people who, if they're interested in walking or maybe they can't run, they come to this class as well. We have a boot camp class on Wednesday and Fridays at 3:15 out in the field house. And that is a little bit of that high intensity training where you may do push-ups for 1 minute, and then you have to do jumping jacks for a minute, and then you are on a stability ball for 1 minute, and then you're doing another type of push-ups on a bleacher for another minute. We do that mix up. So we have a lot of different things for you to come in and take advantage of, and it's all free. So again, my name is Marcy Jameson. I'm the physiologist here. If I can help you out, just let me know. And then our phone number is at 294-5977. So if you need anything at all, please feel free to stop in. We're mostly here 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. But if you work outside those hours and can't make it in, let me know and we will make those accommodations happen for you. Thank you.